Hi, this is CJ from CJ's Keto Kitchen. Today we're going to make an almond brittle just in time for the holidays. Let's go ahead and get this done. Hi guys, we're trying to make today a almond brittle. This is low carb, sugar free, and we're going to make this today and see how it tastes. I've never made this before, and we're going to see how this all turns out. So we're starting with our skillet. You need a half a cup of Swerve sugar replacement. All I have around the house right now is the confectioner's brand or version of the Swerve, but this should work just fine. So the recipe calls for a half a cup of Swerve. We're gonna go ahead and use almost a cup. I'm gonna go ahead and pour that into my pan. Our recipe calls for a quarter of a stick of butter. Again, I'm going to try to double this recipe, and so I'm going to go ahead and use a whole stick of butter. Go ahead and put that in my pan. So now the recipe calls for a whole 1 cup of whole almonds. When I went to the store looking for almonds today, all they had were sliced almonds. So I am going to try to compensate for them being sliced almonds versus whole, and I'm only going to use a half a cup. Okay. I'm going to add 4 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And at this point, I'm also going to go ahead and turn on my heat. So this can start to, everything can start to melt down. We're going to add a quarter of a teaspoon of Himalayan salt. Okay, hopefully that wasn't too much. And like I said, you're going to turn my stove on, and now this is going to start to melt down. The butter is going to melt, the sugar is going to melt. It's going to turn into this clear mixture. Okay, so this is starting to melt down. You can see our butter melting. You want to go ahead and slowly begin to just kind of stir everything up. I've got my heat up pretty high because I want to get this done. So once that butter starts to melt, it'll start making our mixture for our brittle. I'll post the recipe and links for where you can get Swerve sweetener at. We get it from Amazon. I have never seen it in stores, in a regular store, but I'm sure there may be some stores somewhere in the country that actually sell Swerve. But we purchase ours off of Amazon. You can also use other types of erythritol as well. We just have kind of gravitated toward using Swerve, and that's just what we use quite often. Okay, so you can kind of see that butter is starting to mix. It's starting to make our syrup that we need. So again, I pretty much doubled this recipe. So you want to heat this until all the ingredients are dissolved. So as you can see, the sugar dissolves fairly quickly. So you want to heat this until all of the ingredients are dissolved. And as you can see, the swerve dissolves actually fairly quickly. And the butter is pretty much what takes the longest to melt down. It probably would help if you start with softened butter, if you want to speed things up just a hair. Okay, so my mixture is starting to boil, which is a good thing. We want it to start to boil up. We're gonna add the almonds into our candy mixture. So again, the recipe called for 1 cup of whole almonds. I could not find whole almonds, so I'm compensating this by using a 1/2 cup of the sliced almonds, and hopefully this will work. This is actually the second attempt at making this, and I think in the first attempt I did not compensate for the sliced almonds, so I had like way too many almonds and not enough mixture. Okay. So we're gonna let that kind of simmer and boil for 2 to 3 minutes. Kind of stirring it occasionally. And then the final step after this kind of boils and simmers for a bit is we're gonna pour this, the candy mixture, into a baking dish that's lined with parchment paper. Okay, so you need to watch this because you don't want this to burn. So I just turn my heat down just a hair. So the final step in our process is we're gonna take this mixture and we're gonna pour it into our dish with our parchment paper. You need to be very careful with this because this is extremely hot. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna pour this over or into our dish. And again, be very careful because this is very hot. So once you pour it into your pan, you'll want to take a spoon and kind of spread this out. Kind of spread that out, because what you're going to do is let this harden for about an hour. I'm just going to leave it sitting out. We're going to let it harden for an hour. You can also put it in the refrigerator after it cools down just a bit, but it should be pretty delicious once it's ready to eat. So our almond brittle has hardened and it is ready to be tasted. Okay, so we're going to try to cut this almond brittle. This has been sitting around for about an hour. Okay, it's pretty hard. See if we can get some out of the pan. All right, so there we got just a little piece. That's what it looks like. That is really good. All right, so we're trying the almond brittle, and I'll let you know how it tastes. Okay, this is good. Probably would have been better with the granular version of the Swerve sweetener, but all in all, this is a recipe that I think is a keeper. I'm going to give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching CJ's Keto Kitchen. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell as well, and we'll see you next time. Peace.